So for the London 2012 Games, I was invited to be part of the team that handled the uniforms for the Australian Olympic Committee. And the thing is, I was actually gunning for trying to get on the team for UK, obviously. But it didn't matter. The opportunity came along, and it meant that I'd be working as part of the team with Adidas and Sportscraft. Obviously, Adidas, as you know, is a German company, and Sportscraft, I think, is Australian based. And the chief names behind that was, I think it's a lady called Stephanie Rowe at Sportscraft, and Shane Redenbach, who was one of the kind of top dogs at the Australian Olympic Committee. And it was a really exciting job because it wasn't like all the other jobs that I'd had. There was a lot of freedom involved. And over a period of, I think 4 weeks it would have been, I got to meet a lot of the athletes. Not that they would remember me, but we had to do fittings with every one of the athletes for their respective sports. One day we were fitting the jackets on the athletes for the opening ceremony, and then the next day we were altering the kind of bodysuits for the gymnastics teams and so forth. So it was very, very varied. The job was located in Leighton, which obviously was around the corner from the Olympic Stadium in Stratford. So for me, it was quite easy to get to, because at the time, I think I was living in Woolwich. So I'd probably stay at my now wife's place. So it just became, most times I could even just walk to work. But the days were quite long. Obviously it was in summer, so it was very hot. There was a lady I was working with. There was 2 or 3 of us that were part of the technical side of the team. And one of the ladies' names I can remember is called Deborah Bandano. And she actually worked a lot at McQueen, but we never, I think because of scheduling, we never actually worked together at McQueen. But yeah, she told me a lot of her stories at McQueen, and she was such a pleasant woman. Unfortunately, I never met her again after working on that project, but she was such a pleasure to work with. Yeah, it was exciting seeing the kind of stuff that we were working on and then seeing it on the athletes the next day, because obviously there was a team that was in charge of actually dressing or getting the stuff to the right athletes. The way it kind of panned out is that we were located at Waltham Forest College. I think it was their construction college. So the main kind of arena where we occupied was where we'd house all of the clothes, and there'd be a rail for a different event. So I think the plan was the athletes would come down and then fit them there and then, but then other athletes, they'd have these runners that will go to the athletes in person and fit them there. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think it may have been depending on how much of a celebrity that individual was, depending upon whether the runner goes to them to fit their clothes. Yeah, and one of the kind of real highlights of that experience was I got to work on the jacket for the head of the Australian Olympic Committee, because he gave a speech, I think the next day, and I got to put the name to the face, and I'll have to dig out what his name was. I'll probably put it in the description below. But that was really awesome. In terms of how the kind of project ended up, there was a lot of kind of wastage because those guys had come from Australia. I think they did a lot of overbuying. So there was beige fabrics, there was a black and white, it was a blue and white striped shirt and fabric. There was a green fabric for the jackets. So because Deborah, she worked from home, so she didn't have space to take all of the stuff. And obviously I had my own business at the time, so we had quite a large studio. Different to the one I'm in now, but we still had a studio with a lot of space. So I got so many freebies from that job. I got what was it? I got all the fabrics, which was probably about 50 meters of fabric in total. They gave me these really solid, good quality garment rails. They gave me 6 of them. They gave me so much free stuff that I had to take a cab home. And I remember like there was bags and bags of Adidas stuff, from trainers to towels, some of which I still have now. There was armbands, there were sweatbands, there were t-shirts, there were jackets. It was just a mountain of stuff. And I guess they wanted to say thanks to me, but they also didn't want to go back to Australia with all these goods. They just wanted to offload it on whoever they could. And then on top of what I got paid for the job, I think it was Shane, or one of the heads at Adidas, gave us like a cash bonus just to say thanks for the time that we spent there, because it wasn't stressful. It was definitely an enjoyable experience. But I guess they asked maybe things of us that maybe weren't normal in a professional sense. Because we had to stay on our toes. So there were times that were quiet, but the times that were really intense, then you had to be on the ball. And I guess like with most of these fashion jobs, your finishing time wasn't always clear. Even though you got paid by the hour, you couldn't necessarily plan anything in that evening. So looking back on it, I'm happy to say that I was a contributor to the success of the Australian Olympic team for the London 2012 Games.